Okay, well, welcome to the very first Freedom Lounge.
Cheers.
Cheers. To be 100% honest, I stole this one from my friend Shane at Tribute Boardshop in Nelson. He told me it was something we should do, so here we are doing it. So thanks to Shane at Tribute, and thanks for the inspiration and the little nudge we needed to make this happen. We're going to talk about all the things that get us fired up in the bike industry, racing, gear, bikes, trips, trails, chips, and, beer. So, what are you drinking tonight, Evan?
This is the Slackwater Low Tide. It's a nice, light, easy drinking beer. It's quite tasty. Yes. First time having it. It's good.
Yeah, sweet. I'm rocking the Hellas Lager, which is quite yummy. Thanks to Slackwater for hooking up the beers tonight. The good local brewery. Go and check them out. So for our first episode of the Freedom Lounge, we are going to talk about bikes.
What kind of bikes, Josh?
Tonight we're going to do trail bikes.
Ooh, my favorite.
Trail bikes. Yeah. It's funny how the industry is split into enduro bikes, trail bikes, cross-country bikes, downhill bikes. So we're going to seize the opportunity to talk about more bikes by splitting up into those categories. This session, we are going to pick 3 bikes each.
Yep.
They're basically just my 3 favorite bikes for this year and Evan's 3 favorite bikes for this year. So, Evan, I'm going to make you go first.
Sure.
Let's start with your first bike.
My first bike, I think, is going to have to be the Chromag Darco.
Ooh. Nice bike choice, Evan.
Yeah, I think it's pretty sick. It's the bike that I was considering buying this year if I didn't keep my Troy, which I did. You see in my last video, link in the description. I spent a bunch of money on it, and I made it super rad. I'm going to keep riding it. But if I didn't have my Troy, I would have this.
And why not? I mean, Chromag is an awesome company that's been making components and bicycles in BC for, it's got to be 20 years almost.
Long time.
Yeah.
They're a staple in BC, mountain biking.
Super rad crew to hang out with, too. If you ever get to Whistler, give those guys a high five in the bike shop. What can you tell me about this Darco?
It's definitely the smallest bike, I think, in our list in terms of suspension travel. It's 150 up front, 120 in the back. So it's,
sexy.
And I've not ridden this bike, but I've heard that it rides a lot bigger, which is the kind of bike that I really like to ride because they're playful, they're fun, and they just like to get rad. And that's the kind of riding I like to do.
So what's it made from?
It's a chromoly steel on the front end, and I think the seat stays are steel as well, and then the chain stays are aluminum. So
it's a bit of a mix.
It's a bit of a mix, yeah. Definitely different than some of the other options on our list. And if you want to get really fancy, this bike's available in titanium, which I think is really cool.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's my pick number 1.
Nice choice, man.
So that was my first bike. Josh, what's yours?
Well, I'm going to keep it Canadian.
Okay.
I'm going to keep it British Columbian.
Narrows things down?
Yeah, pretty much narrows things down. But I'm going to go to the complete other end of the spectrum when it comes to materials on this bike.
Okay.
So my first bike is going to be the WeAre1 Arrival. This bike
just appeared out of nowhere.
It arrived. This bike does it for me in every way, shape, and form. I own this one myself, so I might be a little bit biased on this one.
A little, yeah.
But let's be honest. I mean, these frames are hand-laid in cam loops. The wheels are made in cam loops. The linkage is CNC'd in cam loops. The bars are made in cam loops. The stem's made in cam loops. Like, it just doesn't get any better than that. The crew at WeAre1 is absolutely awesome. And they've thought of every single little detail for this bike.
Which is amazing for a small company like that. To get to that level of bike on their first try is utterly unbelievable.
Well, from a guy like Dustin Adams, I honestly, I don't think anybody expected anything less.
Yeah.
And if you haven't heard yet, the bike in front of us comes in a 152 rear travel. They provide, if not free of charge, of course, but you can buy a linkage as well as a second shock and run this bike as a 170 platform.
That's pretty sweet.
And recently, they've also released another linkage that allows you to bump it down to a 130. So using the same rear triangle, the same front triangle, you could essentially have 3 bikes in one.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Kind of a quiver killer.
It's pretty incredible. I'm not one for all the adjustable geometry doodads that are on the market. I usually kind of glaze over it.
Yeah.
But the fact that, with a little bit of time on the tools, you could swap this thing between 3 different bikes with 3 really different ride qualities. To me, it's a no-brainer.
It's good value.
And the value.
Yeah.
Because you are getting a really wicked part spec on a handmade bike for just under $10,000.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, $10,000 is a lot of money. But if you compare this part spec to price of other brands, these guys are crushing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Good.
that's my first bike.
Really good pick. Love it.
Thanks. Well, that was my first bike.
Yeah.
You're going to have a tough time meeting up with them.
You're probably right. But I got one that I think is pretty good. It's,
Okay.
Yeah. It's the new and improved Santa Cruz Hightower.
Ooh, wowzers. That is definitely the best color I've seen this year.
Maybe ever on any bike.
Ooh, nice one.
It is an amazing color. I think if you're looking at a trail bike and you ride like I do, which is fast, aggressive, you like to have fun, definitely loose, this bike has to be on the list. Like,
Yeah.
it's a great all-around bike, but it really excels at those things.
Yeah.
It's got some awesome updates this year, some tweaks and adjustments with the geometry.
Yep.
But you get the glove box, I think they call it.
Glove box.
So you get in-frame storage, which is awesome, and it's a great part spec, GX Eagle, and some good suspension all around. It's a bike I really am keen to ride.
Yep. Yeah, I like what they do with these bikes when it comes to their proportional sizing. So
that too,
each bike has a different rear center that changes with the size of the bike to help the bike feel the same no matter how tall the rider is.
Yeah.
So that's really neat, right?
It's really cool, yeah, because it means no matter if you're a smaller person and you want a bike that's lively and playful, it's going to feel just as lively and playful for you as it is for me on a larger size. So
or for the guy who's 6'5" on
Exactly.
a double XL.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Evan, in talking about the Hightower, I think there was one detail you missed that they introduced on the Hightower.
There is one little thing. It is a little tiny hole in the seat tube of the bike so that you can see what you're doing when you're setting your sag.
That lovely little window into the sag sole of the bike is a really good addition by
Definitely.
Santa Cruz. So
Yeah.
Nice one. Santa Cruz Hightower was a pretty nice choice, Evan.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Very cool bike.
indeed. Do you want to ask me what my second bike is?
Hey, Josh, what's your second bike?
Awesome. Thanks, Evan. I thought you'd never ask. So my second bike is actually going to totally, what's the word? Contradict everything I said about the last bike I liked, because this one has more geometry adjustments than any other bike in the shop,
true.
I think.
I think so.
This one, we're going with the Specialized Stumpjumper Evo Elite. The Specialized Evo Elite. I forgot the word Stumpjumper.
Stumpjumper, yes.
Yeah. So the reason that this bike is on my list of favorite trail bikes for this year is, honestly, it's the price. It's a $7,000 alloy bike that has frame storage. Specialized likes to call it the SWAT box.
The SWAT box.
And for $7,000, you're getting GX Eagle, Fox factory suspension,
Awesome.
which is really where I think you're getting the value in this bike.
Absolutely.
The adjustability of it, which I know I said before, I usually glaze over it, but this one has the right adjustability. You've got a cup that goes in the headset that allows you to either steepen or slacken it. You've got adjustability on the rear chainstays that allows you to lengthen it and shorten it and run it high or low. So, you know, to me, I've ridden this bike. This bike is an absolute party.
Absolutely.
You can mullet it. Yep. There's a mullet link. So it really checks all the boxes. And for $7,000, you're getting what matters. And that's a solid frame with good ride quality and wicked suspension.
Definitely.
And I think this is a great bike that gives you the ability to take it to the bike park and have a wicked time. Yep. You could run it on your local trails and have an awesome time. And the adjustability means that you can go traveling to other trail networks that might not be as steep, deep, and loamy as your home trails and make the adjustments to make this bike super fun wherever you choose to ride.
Very
so,
cool.
Nice work, Specialized.
Yeah, great bike.
Yep. So, that's Stumpy Evo. Cool bike.
Very cool bike.
What have you got up your sleeve?
Well, I've got a bike that is very near and dear to my heart. It is from a Canadian company as well.
That's good.
Half the bikes on our list are from a Canadian company. I think that's pretty cool.
Go Canada.
Go Canada. Yeah, it's none other than the Devinci Troy, which
pop. The Devinci Troy.
There it is.
Good choice, Evan. I think we both know this bike well.
Yeah, well, you rode it, and now I'm riding it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is the bike, not this specific one, obviously, but I ride a Troy, and it is an absolute riot. I think of all the bikes we've talked about, I know for a fact this one likes to party, and it's the reason why I've chosen to keep it and keep riding it this season.
Yeah, there isn't like one single thing about this bike that really stands out to me. You know, like the other bikes we could say like, this bike has frame storage. This bike has adjustability. This bike has blah, blah, blah. It's just this one pedals well.
Yes.
Like really well.
It does pedal really well. Yep.
But then I always found riding this bike, the faster you went, the more fun this bike became.
100%.
And a lot of bikes might really be that way, but I just found like the more I tried to push this bike, the more the bike was like, yeah, let's do that.
Exactly. And that's why I think I love it so much, because that's kind of my riding style.
Fun in the air.
Yep.
Nice to pedal.
Yep.
Yep.
It ticks all the boxes for me. You know, it's
made in Vietnam.
Made in Vietnam, Canadian company though.
They do manufacture in Canada.
They do, yeah. A lot of their aluminum stuff's made in Canada.
The aluminum Spartan, the aluminum Troy, and the Marshall are three bikes in particular off the top of my head that I know for a fact are made in Canada.
Yeah.
And other than We Are One, they're the only company that can say they manufacture on a large scale in Canada. So that's really awesome. I mean, kudos to Devinci for keeping it in Canada and for being a strong Canadian company for years.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been around forever.
Yep, absolutely. Pretty sure, we all fell in love with Devinci when Stevie Smith was riding it.
You can't talk about Devinci without mentioning Stevie Smith's name. So.
Exactly. So props
Cheers.
to that. I'd pour a beer out, but then I'd have to clean it up.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah. Nice choice, Evan.
Yeah.
Good
thanks.
call. All right, Evan. That's 3 bikes for you.
3 for me.
Cheers to your 3 bikes.
Yeah, thanks.
2 Canadian companies.
Yep.
I only managed to do 1 Canadian company.
It was a
tonight.
valiant effort.
So you beat me on that one.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to repeat a brand that you have also featured tonight.
Okay.
Because this next bike, I think, is probably the one on my list that I look forward to riding to the most this year. We have added a few of these to our rental fleet this year. So if you're coming to Penticton and you want to try a Santa Cruz 5010, The Santa Cruz 5010.
Yeah.
They've made some pretty drastic changes to it. The biggest change being the mullet wheel sizing. You know, business in the front, party in the back. Everybody knows what that's about. The 27.5 version of this bike from last year was one of my favorite bikes to grab from the basement and take out on a ride. I did it on a few youth rides that we do, and man, that bike was so much fun. So, like I said, we've added this one to the rental fleet this year. It's the one bike in the shop that I can't wait to get in. It's got all those same Santa Cruz features that you mentioned on the Hightower.
Yeah.
You know, sag window, proportional sizing on the chain stays.
Yeah.
It's got the glove box that we referred to before. And it's just, I mean, what else can you say? I mean, short travel bikes, as we know, are super fun to ride.
Super capable these days, too.
And super capable, yeah. I mean, a 150 bike or a 140 bike or a 130 bike, as this is, from years past, is so much more capable than I would have thought from a 130 bike in the past. But yes, I mean, Santa Cruz, props to you for having 2 bikes on our list tonight. And yeah, sweet.
Awesome.
3 bikes each.
3 bikes done.
Bonus bike! Bonus bike!
I've got a bonus
There's
bike
a bonus
for you.
bike?
There is a bonus bike
Okay.
that I really think we need to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. And it is from another Canadian company.
Okay.
And it's not a bike either you or I can ride.
Very interesting.
Any guesses?
Is it something from a brand that we've already talked about?
100%.
Maybe it's the first time they made a full suspension bike?
Ooh, yeah, I think you're pretty on to something
Okay.
there, buddy. Any ideas what it might be?
Pretty sure it's the Minor Threat.
Yeah, dude. The Chromag Minor Threat. The ultimate kids bike.
Doesn't get better than that.
I mean, let's look at this thing for a second, right? So, in order to make this bike, they've made their own rims.
Yep.
They've got gold anodized hubs, which you can't buy.
No.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And
They're Chromag hubs, though.
yeah, they're Chromag hubs. That's what I mean. They're gold Chromag anodized hubs. Like,
Can I get those for my bike?
no, unfortunately, you can't. This is the only place that these things are available. If this isn't the ultimate kids bike, I mean, I don't know what is. I can tell you from experience because I put my own 10-year-old on this bike, and his riding went from slightly timid to sending it and rolling
Yeah.
down all the biggest rock slabs, hitting the road gap in the mice,
Yeah.
and it just, his riding level and his confidence went through the roof.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I mean, it was fun watching him last year progress through the season. You know,
Right.
from the first time jumping on that bike and 2-finger braking to absolutely sending it at the end of the year.
Yeah, man, it was mind-blowing. It was really, really cool to see, and it was this bike that helped provide that level of confidence. And they make it in a 24-inch
Yep.
and a 26-inch wheel bike. You know, props to the guys at Chromag for diving in and making the best kids bike that I can say I've seen in my time here at the bike shop. And out of all the bikes we did in our like little bike list tonight, this one gets me more excited and more amped up than all the other ones, and I can't even ride it.
Yeah, and it's got, I mean, something to do with the future, you know, the future of mountain biking. And if this is what the future of mountain biking gets to ride, I mean, we got a great future ahead of us.
It's true. Well, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
3 bikes each, plus a kid's bike that, you know, we both wish we could ride.
Yep.
You know, not bad for our first Freedom Lounge.
It's pretty good.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to Quentin.
Yeah.
And we look forward to putting out a whole bunch of different content for people to enjoy. And thanks for joining us here.
And as always, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. And we'll see you guys next time. Oh, and let's
let's go ride
and let's go
bikes.
ride bikes. See you guys.
Ciao.